What up, though? Peace, love, and blessings to everybody watching this video. So I want to start start this video by telling you a story. I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I was very involved in church. My grandmother used to make me go to church, and I did choir, and I did a lot of other things around the church, youth usher board, all that good stuff. For those of us that were raised in church, you know what I'm talking about. And one day I was at choir rehearsal. I sang in the choir for a lot of years, and my grandmother's choir rehearsal was on the same night. So we would go in first, and we had the same choir director. So we would go in first, and they would go second. So we were waiting or whatever. And so my church is really big, and my church is very old. My church is going on 100 years old in the next some years. So it's a very old church. And if you know anything about portals, portals are well, a portal can be on infrastructure that has been in one particular location for a very long time. So it sits still in this location and becomes a portal. And so I think about over the years, a lot of people have come through the church, and a lot of good spirits and high energies have come through the church. And so I could definitely say that the church is definitely a place or a place of strong resonance as far as energy is concerned in the community, in that particular community. And so one this particular night, I we decided to play hide and seek in the church, and we knew we weren't supposed to, but it was one of those things, where everybody's kind of doing it, so you do it too because you're a kid. You don't look like the punk out the group or whatever. So we go and play hide and seek in the church. We know we're not supposed to, but one of the guys says, "Hey, let's go in the sanctuary." Because it's real dark up there. It's some stairs to get up to the sanctuary. It's very dark. It was a very good hiding spot, but obviously not the best hiding spot because it's the sanctuary, the main spot. So we go in there, and we duck. We go about 5 pews down, and we duck, and we sit there, and everything very still, very quiet, very dark. There was a little bit of light. We have stained glass windows on the outsides, and so the street lights they cast a bit of light into the sanctuary, but it's almost near pitch black in the sanctuary. And so when we sat, and the door opens, and so, well, firstly, by the church being very old, you can hear people coming up the stairs. Like when people are late for church or whatever, you can hear people coming up the stairs before they get to the sanctuary. And we didn't hear anything, but the door opens. And so this person walks in, and he has glasses. He's very dark skinned, and he has the pastor. He has an all black with the pastor, the white thing. I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called. But he comes in, and he says, "Hey, you all know you aren't supposed to be playing in here." And so I guess the guy didn't look particularly familiar, and I guess I didn't particularly see anyone there as I was as when we were walking in, but this being walked in the door and called out to us, and so we waited a few seconds, and we got up, and we went up and to the door. He was looking at us, or I kind of had my head down because I'm a kid, I'm in trouble, so I'm just trying to get out of there. And so we walk out the door, and I caught the door, and I held it for him to come out, because I expected him to be behind me. And I turned around, and no one was there. And so I went and I looked back in the sanctuary, like, I was expecting a person, but there was no one there. And so I called my friend. I said, "Hey, where did my man's go?" And he said, "What you mean?" And I was like, "My man's that was right here. That just the whole reason we came out the sanctuary. We yeah, he went in there and he had the phone like I want to say this was about 2003, four. It was the white tee era, but the white tee era it was the Nextel, so he had the good Nextel light, and he flashed it, and it was nothing. It was nothing there, nobody there, and I know for certain, that this person came in, but it was a very interesting experience, I guess, to have, especially as a child, because for a long time I didn't really understand it, and I didn't tell my grandma who, because obviously I would get in trouble for playing in the sanctuary, but that was a very weird experience that I can't really relate to that many people. And a couple other people that I've met in my life have said to had a similar account of some type, interacting with a multidimensional being, because, well, I guess in the grand scheme, we know that we live on the third dimension, and that there are dimensions below us, and that there are dimensions above us. And we know that beings can cross dimensions. We as humans are trying to ascend to the next dimension, but there are other beings out there that can cross dimensions and sit in certain frequencies and resonate with certain people, causing certain effects. And so I guess one of the main things I wanted to elaborate on the idea, I guess, that one of the main times you hear the word ascension is it's associated with Jesus Christ. And so we as human beings, we're all seeking to ascend to the fourth dimension, I guess you could say, or that would be the heavens and the cosmos and the things that are above us literally, but out of our reach at the same time. And when we as humans, we do what we have to do on this earth, that is when we can ascend to that next level. And so when we come to our time when we pass and go back to the earth, we our spirits will either ascend or descend, or sometimes spirits can remanifest on this plane for those that are heavy into the reincarnation idea. And so when you remanifest on this plane, sometimes you may not come back fully, but you may come back and be within a particular frequency that is not quite on the fourth dimension, but definitely above the third dimension. Because if you think about the basic idea that there's the dot, which is the zero or the nth dimension, because the n being the variable, anything plus that, will be created to create another dimension. So if you think about the zero dimension being the dot and the one dimension being the line, the two dimension can be a shape or a square or however you want to look at it. The third dimension will be the cube. And then the fourth dimension, if you look into if you're into geometry, when you take two cubes and when you create one cube and then you get a second cube and the space between them becomes one whole shape, creating a time space sort of deal. Because if you think about it, it's just a dot to the line to then the shape. The line is a plane. The shape now has two planes. The cube now has three planes. And then obviously on the fourth dimension, you're now dealing with four planes. And for, I guess, ghosts or beings that have come to pass on, they can sometimes, they either don't go all the way, I guess, or maybe they come back and they're remanifested still on this plane, but at a higher frequency. And so they can manifest at this point because in most cases, if you think of in life, it's much easier to come down than it is to rise up. So this multi or cross dimensional being, if you will, can cross dimensions or cross within between, or he can cross at this dimension of certain frequencies and may not be able to fully ascend to that next level, or may not be able to ascend down either. They become trapped in this dimension and they're stuck on certain frequencies. And so when particular people come in contact, or because we all give off vibrations, when we come in contact with certain frequencies and certain vibrations that align with our own, we can pick up on these things. And so if I, as a child, am at a place where my energy is at a very familiar place because church was somewhere very familiar to me, and I'm young and I was still mostly innocent at the time. So my whole energy vibrations that I'm giving off is very susceptible and very open to anything that could be around. And so to an extent, my friend and I may have tapped into that frequency unknowingly by entering the sanctuary, because it is what you consider a sacred place, depending on how you look at it. Even for people who not are not into church, just the idea of a place of worship across cultures, that's a definite idea of something being sacred. They want to preserve religious artifacts and religious infrastructures. So as a child, just tapping into this frequency, because I guess I can say from then on, that was kind of the start of my whole kind of journey, understanding the metaphysical aspects of the world and understanding that there are things greater than ourselves that exist. And for me, I guess understanding that doing what I have to do on this earth means that I'll ascend to the next level. It makes me want to chase my purpose and go out and seek what I'm really here to do, because I've been on this earth nearly a quarter of a century, and I've been sitting and I've been trying to think about why have I been placed on this earth. And I'm very talented. I do a lot of things, and I've received a lot of accolades over the years. But through it all, I guess I can say, that I'm still trying to find the ultimate purpose. As it seems that I'm serving, menial purposes, in the time that I've been on this earth, on this plane. So I guess, yeah, that's kind of the gist of the video. I guess for me, it's just really as a person growing and trying to know more and learn more about the universe and more about how things work through nature. I see parallels and I pick them up, connect the dots on things that I notice. So as a whole, I guess ultimately the moral of the story, I guess encountering this being that has not transgressed and progressed through the next dimension, I guess even being, or even, I guess that wouldn't even necessarily say that this being can't be on the fourth dimension, but that they are on the third dimension, and that either if either if he did or he didn't, that should be still a sign that as human beings on this earth, we need to find our purpose and find our place in the world and live out our capabilities and our energies and our everything to the fullest, so that we can ascend to the next level like Jesus Christ. and like other beings throughout history that we know have studied that have ascended and become metaphysical. Peace.